The lights inside the massive station were too bright for Captain's eyes. He had been in space for 3 months, traveling from Earth to reach this place. The station called Prime floated in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than any city back home. Thousands of alien beings lived and worked here. Stood in the observation deck, watching ships come and go. Each ship looked different. Some were long and thin like needles. Others were round like bubbles. A few ships glowed with their own light. He had never imagined so many different types of beings existed in the galaxy. Doctor walked up beside him. She carried a data pad filled with information about the aliens they would meet today. "Are you nervous?" she asked. Smiled a little. "I've fought in 3 wars, but yes, I'm nervous." "Good," said. "That means you're taking this seriously." They were here for humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Council. For hundreds of years, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Then 50 years ago, they invented faster-than-light travel. Suddenly, the galaxy opened up, and they discovered they were not alone at all. The Galactic Council had 47 member species. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. To them, humans were newcomers, children playing with dangerous toys. Ambassador joined them at the window. He was older than with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent the last year learning everything about council politics. "The meeting starts in 1 hour," he said. "Remember, we are here to listen and learn. Do not make promises. Do not threaten anyone. We need them more than they need us." Nodded, but something bothered him about that statement. Humanity had survived and grown strong without any help. Why did they need these aliens? The council chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched up so high that could barely see the top. Representatives from each species sat in curved rows that formed a circle. At the center was an empty platform where speakers would stand. The human delegation took their assigned seats. They were in the back row, far from the center. That told everything about their status here. A creature that looked like a giant insect walked to the center platform. Its body was covered in black armor-like skin. 4 arms moved as it spoke. A translator device on its ear changed the clicking sounds into words he could understand. "I am High Commander of the Empire. We begin today's session with urgent matters. The Ravager swarm has destroyed another colony. The Outer Rim is lost. Our fleets cannot stop them." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Leaned forward. He had read the reports about these Ravagers. They were a species that consumed everything in their path. They attacked without warning and showed no mercy. Council fleets had tried to fight them 6 times. 6 times they had failed. A being made of pure light floated to the platform next. Its voice sounded like music. "The collective has analyzed all battle data. The Ravagers adapt to our weapons too quickly. They learn from each encounter. Standard military tactics are ineffective." Another species spoke, then another. Each one described the same problem from different angles. The Ravagers were winning. The Council was losing. Fear filled the chamber like smoke. Ambassador raised his hand. The gesture seemed small in the massive room. At first, no one noticed. Then a light appeared above their section, indicating a request to speak. High Commander's insect face turned toward them. "The humans wish to contribute. How amusing. Speak quickly. We have little time for newcomers." Stood and walked to the center platform. His footsteps echoed. "Thank you, Commander. Earth would like to offer military assistance against the Ravagers." Laughter erupted from several sections. The sound was strange because different species laughed in different ways. Some chirped, some rumbled, but the meaning was clear. They thought humans were joking. Raised one of his 4 arms, the laughter stopped. "You have been traveling in space for only 50 years. Your fastest ships are slower than our cargo vessels. Your weapons are primitive. What could you possibly offer?" "Fresh perspective," said calmly. "Sometimes an outsider sees what experts miss." "We do not need perspective. We need warriors, powerful weapons, advanced technology." voice carried contempt. Humans possess none of these things. You are granted observer status only. You may watch. You may learn. You may not participate in military operations. This is for your own safety. Bowed his head. As you wish, Commander. Back in their seats, felt anger rise in his chest, touched his arm gently. Let it go, she whispered. We knew this would happen. But couldn't let it go. He had reviewed the tactical reports while traveling to the station. He had studied every battle between the Council and the Ravagers. Something was wrong with the Council's approach. They fought like they were playing a game with rules, but the Ravagers didn't follow any rules. The meeting continued for 3 more hours. Species after species described their losses. Entire colonies were gone. Billions of beings had died. The Ravagers were moving closer to the core worlds with each passing week. As the session was ending, alarms suddenly screamed through the chamber. Red lights flashed everywhere. An emergency message appeared on every screen. A young officer from one of the aquatic species swam into the chamber in a water-filled bubble. His voice was panicked. Forgive the interruption. We have received a distress signal. The Ravagers have broken through the defensive line at Sector 7. They are heading directly toward the Republic's home system. Chaos erupted in the chamber. They were one of the most powerful species in the Council. Their home system held 9 billion beings. If it fell, the entire galactic economy would collapse. High Commander stood again. Emergency session will convene in 2 hours. All military representatives must attend. All others are dismissed. His eyes found the human section, including observers. As they walked out of the chamber, Felt's hand shake slightly. 9 billion, she whispered. That's more than Earth's entire population. Ambassador's face was pale but calm. We need to send a message to Earth immediately. Request permission to share our tactical analysis with the Council. They won't listen, said. Then we make them listen, replied. Before 9 billion beings die. That night couldn't sleep. He kept reviewing the battle reports on his data pad. The pattern was so clear to him. The Ravagers attacked in waves, testing defenses. When they found a weakness, they struck with overwhelming force. But the Council fleets always responded the same way. They formed defensive lines. They tried to overwhelm the enemy with firepower. It never worked. Had seen this before, on Earth. When humans fought enemies that outnumbered them or were stronger, the solution was never to meet force with force. It was to be unpredictable, to strike where the enemy was weak, to use speed and surprise instead of raw power. He closed his data pad and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Ravagers were moving, and the Council had no idea how to stop them. But maybe humans did. 3 days had passed since the emergency session. The news from the system was bad. The Ravagers had destroyed all orbital defenses within hours. Millions were already dead. Evacuation ships fled in every direction, but there weren't enough ships to save everyone. Doctor had barely slept. She spent every moment preparing a presentation that the Council didn't want to hear, but Ambassador insisted it was necessary. He had finally convinced one member of the Council to give them 5 minutes to speak. That member was Ra, a being from the collective. She was made of pure energy and could change her shape at will. She had visited the human delegation quarters yesterday, curious about these newcomers from the edge of the galaxy. Your species interests me, Ra had said. Her voice sounded like soft bells. You are different from other new species we encounter. They come to us seeking protection, but you came offering to help us. Why? Had smiled, because that's what neighbors do. Now they stood outside the Council chamber again. This time, only military representatives were inside. Guards stood at every entrance. They carried weapons that could destroy a ship with one shot. A guard waved them through. 5 minutes, he said, no more. Inside, High Commander sat in the center position. His insect face showed no emotion, but his body language radiated hostility. Around him sat commanders from 20 different species. All of them looked exhausted. "You have your 5 minutes," humans said. "Make them count." Doctor walked to the center platform. Her hands shook slightly as she activated the holographic display. "Thank you, Commander. I want to talk about Earth." Images appeared in the air above her, pictures of Earth from space, the blue oceans, the white clouds, the green continents. "This is our home world," said. "It looks peaceful from space, beautiful even, but Earth is not peaceful. Our scientists have a classification system for planets. We call Earth a Class 12. That got their attention. Several commanders leaned forward. "What does that mean?" asked a commander from the aquatic species. Change the image. It now showed a massive storm system, lightning flashing inside dark clouds. Earth has extreme weather, storms that can destroy entire cities, earthquakes that split the ground open, volcanoes that cover the sky with ash, waves of water 50 meters high that wash away everything. Another image appeared. This one showed various animals from Earth: tigers, sharks, bears, snakes, spiders. "Earth is filled with predators," continued, "creatures that hunt and kill for food. Humans evolved while being hunted by these creatures. We learned to fight back. We learned to survive." "This is irrelevant," interrupted. "We did not grant you time to discuss your planet's wildlife." "It's completely relevant," said firmly. "Let me show you something." She displayed a chart comparing gravity levels. Earth's gravity is 1.5 times stronger than the galactic standard. Every step we take, every movement we make, requires more strength than most species possess. Our bones are denser. Our muscles are stronger, just from living on our world. "Fascinating," said Ra. "Continue, please." "Earth's atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen," said. "To most species, our air is toxic. It would burn your lungs. But for humans, it allows us to move faster, think quicker, and heal from injuries that would kill others." She brought up another chart. "Earth has more diseases, viruses, and bacteria than any documented world. Our immune systems had to become incredibly powerful just to survive. Most humans can resist infections that would devastate other species." The chamber had gone quiet. Every commander was paying attention now. "You see," said softly, "humans are not from a garden world where life is easy. We are from a world that tried to kill us every single day. We survived by becoming adaptable, by learning to use everything around us, by never giving up, no matter how bad things got." Captain stood up from his seat. Technically, he wasn't supposed to speak, but he had something to add. "Commander, I've studied every battle report between your forces and the Ravagers. Do you want to know what I see?" His mandibles clicked together, a sign of irritation. "You may speak." "I see forces fighting by the rules," said. "You form defensive lines. You engage at maximum range. You retreat when losses reach certain percentages. These are good tactics against enemies who fight the same way. But the Ravagers don't follow your rules. And you think your primitive tactics would work better?" His voice dripped with sarcasm. "Yes," said simply. "Because on Earth nothing follows rules. A hurricane doesn't stop because you asked it nicely. A tiger doesn't care about your defensive formations. Humans learn to fight dirty, to use surprise, to strike fast and hard where the enemy is weak." Captain, who commanded Earth's stealth ship, spoke next. "Sir, my ship returned from a reconnaissance mission yesterday. We got close to a Ravager hive cluster, closer than any council ship has managed. We mapped their entire formation." He activated his own display. It showed the Ravager's structure in detail, had been right in his analysis. The Ravagers had weak points, but those weak points required getting dangerously close to exploit them. "This is suicide," said an older commander from a reptilian species. "To attack there, you would need to fly directly through their defensive fire. No ship could survive." A council ship couldn't survive, engineer said. He had been quiet until now. But our ships are built differently. They're designed for Earth's environment first, space second. They can handle extreme conditions. They can perform maneuvers that would destroy your vessels or kill your crews from the force alone. Lieutenant stepped forward. She had been a Special Forces soldier before joining the space program. On Earth, we have a saying, adapt or die. Every species on our planet learned this. Those that couldn't adapt went extinct. Humans adapted to everything. Desert heat, Arctic cold, high mountains, deep oceans. We survived because we learned to change our tactics for every situation. She looked directly at. You're fighting the Ravagers the same way every time. They've adapted to your tactics, but they haven't seen ours yet. The chamber was silent for a long moment, then stood. Your 5 minutes are over. This council appreciates your enthusiasm, but we cannot risk the lives of billions based on the theories of a species who have been in space for less than a human lifetime. Bud started to speak. The decision is final, said. You will maintain observer status. You will not engage in military operations. That is an order. As they left the chamber, felt frustration burning in his chest. Behind them, they could hear the council commanders arguing about strategy, the same strategies that had failed 6 times already. Ra followed them out. I believe you, she said quietly. I think you might be right about everything, but the council is afraid. They see humans as dangerous, unpredictable, like wild animals. Maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs right now, said. Wild animals know how to survive. That night new reports came in. The had fallen. 4 billion beings were dead. The Ravagers were moving toward the next system, and they showed no signs of slowing down. Made a decision. He sent an encrypted message back to Earth. It was short and simple. Request permission to engage. We can stop this. We must stop this. The reply came 12 hours later. Just 2 words. Permission granted. They were going to war. Captain stood on the bridge of the UNSC Indomitable, humanity's warship. Through the window, he could see 11 other human ships forming up around them. It was a tiny fleet compared to the massive council armadas, but it was all Earth could spare. All ships report ready, Captain, said the communications officer. Nodded. They were in deep space, in the buffer zone between council territory and the areas the Ravagers now controlled. The council had forbidden them from engaging, but the council was losing. Someone had to do something different. Engineer worked at his station, monitoring all ship systems. Sir, I've finished the final modifications. All ships can now handle up to 15 G-forces for short periods. Any council species would be crushed by that kind of acceleration, but we're built for it. Lieutenant studied the tactical map. The Ravagers are gathering here. She pointed to a location called the Shattered Ring. It was a debris field from an ancient battle. They're using it as a forward base. If we destroy it, we cut off their supply lines for this entire sector. How many Ravagers? Asked. Best estimate, 300 ships, maybe more. 12 ships against 300. The odds were insane, but humans had faced bad odds before. Doctor, the fleet's combat medic, spoke from her station. I've been studying the biological samples Captain collected. The Ravagers communicate using bioelectrical pulses. It's similar to some deep-sea creatures on Earth. That means they might be vulnerable to electromagnetic interference. Good work, said. Can we weaponize that? Already on it, sir. Ambassador had not come with them. He stayed at Prime to handle the diplomatic aftermath of what they were about to do, but before left, had pulled him aside. The Council will be furious, had said. If you fail, they'll never trust humans again. We'll be exiled from the galactic community. And if we succeed, had asked. Then we save billions of lives, and we prove that humans deserve a place in this galaxy. Now, as they prepared for battle, activated the fleet-wide communication. All ships, this is Captain, I won't lie to you. What we're about to do is dangerous. The odds are terrible, but we are here because someone has to try something different. The Council fights with overwhelming force and careful strategy. We're going to fight like we're from Earth. Fast, aggressive, unpredictable. He paused, thinking of all the soldiers on these ships. Every one of them had volunteered. Everyone knew they might not come home. The Ravagers have never fought before, continued. They don't know what we're capable of. They don't know that humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day. They don't know that we learned to turn fear into fuel. They're about to find out. All ships prepare to jump. Sergeant, who led the Marine detachment, spoke up from the back of the bridge. Sir, my Marines are ready for boarding operations if needed. Boarding operations, looked surprised. Sir, that's never been attempted against the Ravagers, it would be. Crazy smiled. Yes, that's exactly why we're going to do it. The Ravagers won't expect it, neither will the Council. Captain's voice came through the communication from his stealth ship. Sir, I've plotted an approach vector that uses the debris field for cover. We can get within striking distance before they detect us. Excellent, all ships follows lead. Jump in 3, 2, 1, jump. The stars stretched and twisted. For a moment, felt like his body was being pulled apart. Then they were there. The shattered ring spread out before them. Millions of pieces of ancient ships and stations floated in the darkness, and among the debris, the Ravagers had built their base. The Ravager ships were organic. They looked like they were grown rather than built. Each one pulsed with a sickly green light. They moved through space like predators swimming through water. Weapons ready, ordered. Remember, hit fast and hard. Don't give them time to adapt. Sir, the Council fleet is monitoring from maximum range, the communications officer reported. High Commander is demanding we retreat immediately. Tell him we're busy, said. Counted down. Missile launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, firing. The Indomitable and her sister ships launched their first wave, but these weren't normal missiles. They were relativistic kill vehicles, chunks of metal accelerated to a fraction of light speed. When they hit, they released as much energy as nuclear weapons. The missiles struck before the Ravagers could react. 4 enemy ships exploded instantly. The debris from the explosions created a chain reaction, damaging others nearby. Direct hit, shouted, enemy formation breaking apart. But the Ravagers recovered quickly. They began returning fire. Green energy beams lanced through space toward the human ships. Evasive maneuvers, commanded. Show them how we move. The human ships twisted and turned in ways that would crush most alien crews. They accelerated at forces that should have been impossible. Pilot, flying one of the fighter craft, dove through a gap between 2 pieces of debris that seemed too small. She came out the other side and fired at point-blank range, destroying a Ravager ship. This is, she called out. They're slow, they can't keep up with us. It was true. The Ravagers had adapted to fighting Council ships, which were large and slow. Human ships were smaller, faster, more agile. They fought like sharks, not whales. All ships, wolf pack formation, ordered. Pick your targets and break them apart. The human fleet split up, each ship attacking from a different angle. The Ravagers tried to form a defensive pattern, but they couldn't track all the threats at once. Sergeant and his Marines waited in the launch bay. Sir, requesting permission to begin boarding operations. Granted, good luck, Sergeant. We don't need luck, sir. We're from Earth. The Marines launched in small assault pods. They flew between enemy fire, using the debris field as cover. When they reached a large Ravager ship, they attached to its hull and began cutting through. Inside the enemy ship was nightmare. The walls were organic and pulsed like living flesh. The air was toxic, but the Marines wore sealed armor and carried weapons designed for close-quarters combat. Contact, shouted. Ravager soldiers appeared in the corridor. They looked like giant insects mixed with crabs. They moved on 6 legs and had razor-sharp claws. The Marines opened fire. The enclosed space made the sounds deafening, but they had trained for this. On Earth, humans had to fight in caves, in buildings, in tight spaces where anything could hide. Doctor monitored the boarding operation from the Indomitable. "Sergeant, be careful. Their blood is acidic. Don't let it touch your armor." "Understood, Doc." The Marines fought their way deeper into the ship. They planted explosives at key points. When they retreated to their pods, triggered the charges. The Ravager ship broke apart from the inside. "Boarding successful," reported, proceeding to next target. Back in space, activated the electromagnetic pulse weapons Doctor had designed. Waves of disruption spread out from the human ships. The Ravager's bioelectrical communication system went haywire. Their formations fell apart as ships lost contact with each other. "It's working," said excitedly. "They can't coordinate their attacks." But there were still too many of them. And now they were getting desperate. A massive Ravager ship, bigger than all the others, emerged from deeper in the debris field. It had to be their command ship. Captain saw it on his sensors. Without hesitation, he made his decision. "All ships, this is, I'm going to take out their command ship. It's been an honor serving with you." "Wait," started to say. But Stealth Ship was already moving. It accelerated to maximum speed, straight toward the command ship. The Ravagers fired everything they had at him. His shields failed. His hull began to burn, but he didn't stop. At the last second, overloaded his ship's reactor. The explosion was massive. It ripped through the command ship and destroyed it completely. The blast wave damaged dozens of other Ravager vessels. The bridge of the Indomitable was silent, closed his eyes for a moment. Sacrifice will not be forgotten. Without their command ship, the Ravagers began to retreat. They scattered in all directions, abandoning the shattered ring. "Sir," said quietly, "we did it, they're running." The human fleet had won, but the cost had been high. 3 ships destroyed, gone, hundreds of crew dead or injured, 75% casualties. But the Ravager advance was broken. The medical bay of the Indomitable was filled with wounded soldiers. Doctor moved from bed to bed, treating burns, broken bones, and worse. She had been working without rest for 16 hours. Her hands were steady, but her eyes showed her exhaustion. "How many?" Captain asked quietly when he entered the medical bay. 247 wounded, said, 83 dead, not counting crew. She paused in her work to look at him. "But we saved billions, Captain. Billions of aliens who didn't even believe we could help." Nodded, the victory felt heavy. War always did. On the bridge, Lieutenant was coordinating with the other surviving ships. Engineer worked to repair damaged systems. The Indomitable had taken heavy hits during the battle. One engine was completely destroyed. The hull had holes that let vacuum and starlight through. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer said. "It's High Commander." "Put him through." The insect commander's face appeared on the screen. For once he looked different. The arrogance was gone. "Captain, we witnessed what you did. You disobeyed direct orders." "Yes, sir, I did." "You lost 3/4 of your forces." "Yes, sir." Was quiet for a moment. "And you broke the Ravager advance. You did what we could not do with 100 times your numbers." He seemed to struggle with the next words. "The Council fleet is moving in to secure the area. We will hunt down the remaining Ravagers. Because of you, we now know they can be beaten." "They can be beaten, Commander, but only if you change your tactics. Fight them like would fight." "We are not," said. "No, but you can learn from us, just like we're learning from you." After the transmission ended, Sergeant came to the bridge. His armor was scorched and dented. One arm was in a medical wrap, but he was smiling. "Captain, the Marines want you to know something. We went into that Ravager ship expecting to die, but we didn't. You know why?" "Why, Sergeant?" Because we're from Earth. On Earth, everything tries to kill you. Giant insects. We've dealt with worse. Toxic air. We've breathed worse. Fighting in the dark, we evolved doing that. He laughed. Those Ravagers probably thought they were scary, but they've never seen a tiger, they've never faced a bear, they've never been chased by a shark in deep water. Understood what meant. Humans had spent millions of years as prey before becoming predators. That history was in their blood. It made them good at surviving impossible situations. Back at Prime, Ambassador was in an emergency meeting with the Council. The giant chamber was filled with angry voices. Some species wanted to punish humanity for disobeying orders. Others wanted to understand how 12 ships had done what their entire military could not. Ra, the energy being from the collective, spoke over the chaos. We must be honest with ourselves. We were losing. The Ravagers were winning. Every day more of our people died. Then these arrived and changed everything. They are dangerous, shouted a commander from the reptilian species. Wild and unpredictable. Yes, Ra agreed. And that is exactly what we needed. We have been civilized for so long that we forgot how to fight like we're fighting for survival. Humans never forgot, because for them, every day is about survival. Stood to speak. Members of the council, my people did disobey you, but we did so to save lives. We saw billions dying and we had the ability to help. Would you have done any different? The chamber grew quiet. Humans are new to the galaxy, continued. We don't have your advanced technology. We don't have your thousands of years of knowledge, but we have something you've lost. We remember what it means to be afraid, and we've learned to use that fear to make us stronger instead of weaker. An older council member, one who had been silent until now, spoke. She was from a species that looked almost like humans but with silver skin. Ambassador, you said humans evolved being hunted. Tell me, when did you stop being prey and become predators? We never stopped being prey, said. Even now, even with all our technology, humans can still be killed by creatures on our planet. A human without tools is still vulnerable. We didn't win by becoming stronger than the predators. We won by becoming smarter, by working together, by never giving up. He looked around the chamber. Every species here comes from a garden world, places where life is easy, where food is abundant, where the weather is mild. You evolved in paradise. We evolved in hell, and that made all the difference. The silver-skinned council member nodded slowly. Perhaps it did. 3 days after the Battle of the Shattered Ring, more news arrived. The Ravagers had retreated to their home territory. Council forces, now using tactics learned from the human fleet, were pushing them back. The tide of the war had turned. But there was other news too. Long-range sensors had detected something new, something worse. Captain looked at the data on his screen and felt a chill. The readings showed a massive energy signature at the edge of known space. It was bigger than anything they had seen before, and it was moving toward the galaxy. What is it? Asked. I don't know, said, but it makes the Ravagers look like a minor threat. Back on Earth, President received the reports from the battle. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had led Earth through difficult times before. Now she had to make another difficult decision. She called a meeting of Earth's military council. We just lost 3 ships and hundreds of people, but we saved billions of aliens and earned their respect. Now there's a new threat coming, bigger than the Ravagers. What do we do? General, the head of Earth's military, spoke first. We just proved we can fight, but we also proved we can die. Our fleet is small. We've already lost 25% of our ships. So we hide, asked. We let the council face this new threat alone. I didn't say that, Madam President. I'm saying we need to be smart. We need to build more ships, train more soldiers, and teach the council how to fight like us. Pilot, who had been recalled to Earth to help train new pilots, added her thoughts. The council species are not weak. They're just soft. They've lived in peace for so long that they forgot how to be warriors, but they can learn. I've seen them trying to copy our maneuvers. It's clumsy now, but they'll get better. Made her decision. We help them, not because we want glory or power, but because it's the right thing to do. Humans know what it's like to face extinction. We've been there before. We won't let others face it alone. She sent a message to Ambassador at Prime. Tell the Council that Earth stands with them. We will share our tactics, our training, everything we know. We will teach them to fight because that's what neighbors do. On the Indomitable, repairs were nearly complete. The crew had worked day and night to fix the damage. They knew more battles were coming. Stood in the ship's memorial hall, looking at the names of those who had died. His name was there, along with hundreds of others. Each name represented a person who had fought bravely, who had made the ultimate sacrifice. Doctor joined him. "Do you think it was worth it?" she asked. "We saved billions of lives. Yes, it was worth it, but that doesn't make it hurt less." "No," agreed, "it doesn't." They stood in silence for a while. Then the ship's alarm sounded. Not an emergency, just a call to stations. "All crew, this is the bridge," his voice came over the speakers. "We've received new orders from Earth. We're to return to Prime and begin training Council forces in combat tactics." And looked at each other, then smiled. "Well, Doctor, looks like our work is just beginning." "When you're from us," said, "the work never ends, you just keep fighting." "And we're good at that," said. They left the memorial hall and returned to their duties. Behind them, the names on the wall stood as a reminder of what humans were willing to sacrifice, and what they were capable of achieving. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was helping to change it. 3 months had passed since the Battle of the Shattered Ring. Prime looked different now. Human ships moved between the docking stations alongside Council vessels. Human soldiers walked the corridors with alien soldiers. The two groups were no longer strangers. They were allies. Captain, now promoted to Admiral, stood in a new facility called the Combat Academy. The Council had built it specifically to learn from humanity. Inside, alien soldiers trained under Lieutenant's instruction. "Again," shouted at a group of warriors. They were practicing close-quarters combat, something their species had never needed before. "You're thinking too much. In combat, you react. You don't plan every move. You feel it." A young soldier named Al, struggled with the concept. "But Lieutenant, we are taught to calculate every action, to minimize risk." "And that's why you kept losing to the Ravagers," said, not unkindly. "Sometimes the best move is the one your enemy doesn't expect, even if it's risky." In another part of the facility, Pilot trained alien pilots on combat maneuvers. Her students came from 6 different species. They sat in simulators that mimicked real combat conditions. "Listen," said over the communication system. "You're all flying like you're afraid to damage your ships. These are war machines, not museum pieces. Push them. Make them work." One pilot from the aquatic species tried a tight turn. The G-forces in the simulator made him feel sick. "I cannot. It's too much." "Yes, you can," said firmly. "Pain is just information. It tells you you're alive. Use it. Push through it." The pilot gritted his teeth and completed the maneuver. When the simulator stopped, he looked surprised. "I did it." "Of course you did," said. "You're stronger than you think. You just needed someone to show you." Across the station, Engineer worked with Council scientists on new ship designs. They were creating hybrid vessels that combined Council technology with human combat philosophy. "The problem with your old ships," explained, "is that they're designed for comfort first. Our ships are designed for survival first. See the difference." A scientist, a being of pure energy, studied the designs. "But your ships have minimal crew quarters, no recreation facilities, no comfort systems at all." "Because in combat you don't need comfort. You need speed, armor, and weapons. Everything else is just weight that slows you down." The scientist thought about this. "Your species has a very focused approach to ship design." laughed. When your planet tries to kill you every day, you learn to focus on what matters. In the council chambers, Ambassador stood before the full assembly. High Commander was there, but he was no longer the head of the military. He had resigned after the Battle of the Shattered Ring, not in disgrace, but in recognition that new leadership was needed. The new military commander was the silver-skinned woman who had spoken in defense of humanity. Her name was approximately in human language. She addressed the council now. 3 months ago, we were losing a war. Our people were dying. Our territory was shrinking. Then the humans arrived and showed us something we had forgotten. They showed us that survival is not about having the best weapons or the biggest ships. It's about having the will to fight, even when the odds are impossible. She turned to face. Ambassador, the council has made a decision. We are offering humanity full membership status, with a permanent seat in the military command structure. The chamber erupted in applause. Many species stood to show their respect. Even stood, his insect head bowed in acknowledgement. Felt emotion rise in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we accept. We pledge to stand with you, to share our knowledge, and to face whatever comes together. There is more, said. We want to establish what you call the initiative. We will search for other species from harsh worlds, species like yours. We believe they may have insights and abilities we need. An excellent idea, said. Diversity makes us stronger. Later that day, President addressed Earth's population from the Capitol. The speech was broadcast to every human settlement, from Earth itself to the colonies on Mars and beyond. Today, humanity takes its place among the stars as an equal, said. Not because we have the best technology, not because we are the oldest civilization, but because we proved our worth. We showed the galaxy that humans stand up when others are in danger, that we fight when others say the fight is hopeless. She paused, looking directly into the camera. But this is just the beginning. The sensors show something new approaching, something bigger than the Ravagers, something that might threaten everything. The Council needs us, and we will answer that call, because that's what we do. In space, near the edge of the galaxy, deep-range sensors watched the approaching threat. The energy signature was massive. Calculations showed it would reach Council space in approximately 6 months. Doctor studied the data with growing concern. Whatever was coming, it was unlike anything in the Council's records. It moved through space in a way that physics as they understood it. What do you think it is? Asked Ra. The energy being had become close friends with several humans. She floated beside in the research station. I think, said slowly, it's something that evolved in an even harsher environment than Earth, something that makes the Ravagers look peaceful. Can you stop it? Smiled, though it was a tired smile. Ask me that question after we've fought it. Humans are good at adapting. We'll find a way. Back at the Combat Academy, Admiral gave a speech to the first graduating class. It was a mix of humans and aliens, all trained in the new combat doctrine. You are the first, said. The first generation to fight like, regardless of where you come from. You've learned that courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite fear. You've learned that victory doesn't always go to the strongest or fastest. It goes to those who refuse to quit. He looked at the assembled soldiers. Humans stood next to. Energy beings floated near reptilian warriors. They were different species, but they were united in purpose. Something is coming, continued. Something dangerous, but we will face it together. We will adapt to it, and we will survive, because that's what we do. The soldiers stood as one and saluted. It was a human gesture, but the aliens had adopted it. It meant respect. It meant commitment. It meant they were ready. Doctor worked in the medical research wing, studying alien biology. She had made a breakthrough that could save countless lives. By combining human medical knowledge with alien technology, she had created new treatments for injuries that were previously fatal. "We're learning from each other," she told her assistant, a young scientist. "You have technology we never dreamed of. We have experience surviving things you never faced. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone." Sergeant trained the first mixed-species Marine unit. They practiced boarding operations, rescue missions, and combat in hostile environments. The training was brutal. Many students failed, but those who passed were harder, tougher, and more capable than before. "Remember," told his Marines, "when you're on every mistake can kill you, but every challenge makes you stronger. That's the philosophy. Turn adversity into advantage. Turn fear into fuel. Turn impossible odds into motivation." High Commander visited the human section of Prime. He found in an observation lounge, watching ships come and go. "Admiral," said quietly, "I owe you an apology. When you first arrived, I dismissed you. I thought humans were primitive and reckless. I was wrong." Turned to face him. "You were protecting your people, I understand that. Still, I should have listened. We lost billions because of my arrogance." "We all make mistakes, Commander. What matters is what we do after." Nodded. "I am returning to military service, but as an advisor. I want to help train the new forces. I want to learn from you." "You already are learning," said. "You're here, aren't you, admitting a mistake, asking for help. That takes courage. That's very human of you." His mandibles clicked, the equivalent of a smile. "Perhaps we can all learn to be a little more human." On Earth, construction of a new memorial had finished. It stood in Geneva, where the unified Earth government had its headquarters. The memorial was a simple black wall with names carved into it, names of everyone who had died in the Battle of the Shattered Ring. At the top of the memorial, words were carved in every human language. "From the, for the galaxy." President attended the dedication ceremony. Families of the fallen were there. Survivors were there. And several alien dignitaries attended as well, showing their respect. "These names represent the best of us," said. "They represent people who looked at impossible odds and said, 'We'll try anyway.' They represent the human spirit, the spirit that has carried us from caves to the stars. We will never forget them, and we will honor them by continuing their work." As the ceremony ended, the long-range sensors detected the approaching threat growing stronger. 6 months until arrival, maybe less. Admiral received the updated report on his data pad. He stood on the bridge of a new ship, the UNSC, named after the captain who had sacrificed himself. This ship was bigger and stronger than the Indomitable. It incorporated both human and council technology. "Sir," Lieutenant said, she was now his second in command. "Orders from Earth. We're to begin assembling a response fleet, combined human and council forces." Smiled. It wasn't a happy smile exactly. More like the smile of someone who knows hard work is coming but is ready for it. "Good," he said. "We were getting bored." "Admiral," said, a hint of humor in her voice, "you have a strange definition of bored." "When you're from Earth," said, "you're either fighting to survive or preparing for the next fight. That's just life." Through the window he could see dozens of ships gathering. Human ships alongside council vessels, all different, all unique, but all united in purpose. President sent her final message to the council that day. It was short but powerful. "Humanity stands ready. We've survived our own world. We'll survive anything the galaxy throws at us. Together we are stronger. Together we will face whatever comes. From the, for the galaxy." The message was broadcast to every species in council space. It became a rallying cry. It gave hope to billions who were afraid of what was coming. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the new threat continued its approach. But now it wouldn't just be facing the soft garden world species of the council. It would be facing species who had learned that the only way to survive was to never give up, to adapt, to fight. Admiral looked at his crew, humans and aliens working side by side, ready for whatever came next. "All crew," he announced, Stand ready, the galaxy needs us, and we will not let them down. In the background, Earth hung in space, beautiful, dangerous, a world that had tried to kill humanity for millions of years, and humanity had not just survived, they had thrived. They had reached the stars, and now they would help the galaxy survive too. Because that's what do.